Hey, welcome back to the JMFG podcast. Hey guys, thank you guys. Welcome back to the show again. My last guest I had is my daughter Lauren. I hope you guys like the show. She finally got into UNCC Charlotte, so she's all excited about that. So I hope the parents that watched the show got a lot out of it. But hey, with no further ado, moving on into my next guest is a true leader. He's a true warrior. I know all my third group guys are gonna know this guy, but this guy's done a lot for me, which people wouldn't know about. You know, he's the first guy that noticed that I was had some brain injuries at the time that I thought that I was good, I was well, until, you know, he pretty much told me, like, no, you're going to see a doctor. So having said that, with no further ado, I'm going to let my next guest introduce himself.
All right. Well, thanks for having me here.
All right, thanks for coming, brother.
JFMG podcast, world famous. Mike Sullivan. I guess I'm a retiring Special Forces colonel. I've got about 29 years in the Army. We met back in 2008? Yeah. 2007 when I was a company commander at 1st Battalion, 3rd Special Forces Group, Charlie Rats. About 30 years of Army service. Born and raised in Washington State, the youngest of 4 kids. Went to school in Southern California, ROTC grad, and then became a field artillery officer, and then kind of decided late in the game. It was a peacetime Army back then. Oddly enough, they were having recruiting crisis. Not everybody wanted to go SF, so it worked out for me because I was able to get in because they were taking anybody. But so I ended up at 3rd Special Forces Group as a captain way back in the day. This is just after 9/11. I think I was picking up my books for language school.
Nice.
On 9/11. So graduated the Q course, got to my team, and 2 weeks later, we were in Kabul standing up the Afghan National Army. So you can blame me and ODA 335 on how that turned out, because the ANA did not perform too well. But spent most of my time, almost all my tactical time in 3rd Special Forces Group. Yep. Had 6 trips to Afghanistan, from team leader up to battalion commander. Yep. I was company commander when you and I were there together in the Helmand province. That was a great trip. Oh, yeah. At least for me.
Oh, it was a great trip for me.
Yeah, you got your bell rung a little bit.
So that's where we came over Hondo. I was Hondo from SWAT, and Mike was Street from SWAT. Yeah. And everybody was like, who the hell is Hondo in Street?
It's a good story. We can get into that. Finished up my time at 3rd Group as a colonel. I got sent to Lebanon for a year to command all the Joint Special Operations guys there for a year. Back in 2018. So that was an interesting time, and with things going on in the world now, it's an interesting time to know what goes on in that part of the world. But that was a great time. Got home, went to work for Special Forces Command, and then I actually got the nod to be a SFAB commander. So nice. I was one of the people of the Brown Beret there for a while at the end of my career, and then my last job was at SWIC as the Chief of Staff, and now I'm transitioning out.
Good deal.
And I'm the oldest intern at Team RWB. So
we're gonna get into RWB.
Yeah. So
now I got a question, sir. Is there anything that you wish you would have changed other than staying on a team longer, or is there anything that throughout your SF or military? We'll go military career, then we'll go SF career. Is there anything you wish you would have changed or done differently?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think there's decisions you make and things you do that potentially, like, man, maybe if I would have done this differently, or but I don't think so. Right. My military career was like just a complete blessing.
Right.
Like, not really planned out. Like, I'm not known. My wife will tell you, I'm like not known for like thinking more than like maybe a year ahead at a time. Yep. So when I was a young field artillery captain, I had actually gone to the Armor Advanced course and accepted orders to Germany, and was like, man, I don't know if I want to be a field artillery battery commander. Like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. But I got stuck on the USARA staff. Like, they diverted my orders, and I ended up sitting next to a 10th group, like, senior captain, junior, major, who became my best friend. And he's like, man, they're hurting for captains right now. You should see if you could get out of Germany and get to selection in the Q course.
Awesome.
And I was told no at first. They're like, hey, you got a 3-year commitment. You went to Germany. We're not going to bet on you. Fortunately for me, where I was at I was briefing the user commander on different things we were doing with exercises in Europe. And he asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, well, what I really want to do is go to selection, but nobody will sign my paperwork. And he's like, give me your paperwork.
There you go.
I go, well, if I get selected, Branch is telling me I got to stay here. And he's like, I'm running the Army in Europe. I'll get you a waiver.
Exactly.
We'll get you out of here.
That's
you
awesome.
just got to get through selection. So, the branch manager was a little upset because he felt like I pulled like too many strings. But they're like, okay, you'll get one shot, man. Like,
make it happen.
If you get recycled at any point, you're going right back to field artillery.
Oh, nice.
So, and I may have sent a dumb email. I maybe have regretted some emails I sent throughout my career.
I've done that a couple times.
Nevada Ben, who was our sergeant major back in the day, he may have like started a practice where he tricked me the first time. He said, hey, man, you're typing angry right now. This is me as a major in Helmand Province talking about, the big operation I wanted to run. And he's like, why are you typing angry? He goes, and you are horrible at grammar, so let me read that before you send that to the battalion headquarters and the battalion commander. I was like, roger that, Ben. Thanks for looking out. I do have bad grammar. So he's reading it, and I'm like, over his shoulder, like, yeah, this is good. Like, there's a lot of anger and, fire in this email.
I'm getting my point across.
And he looks at me, and looks up, and he hits delete on the whole email. And I was like, what did you just do? He goes, do you feel better? Do you feel better that you got all that out? I was like, well, I wanted to send it. He goes, you would have ruined your career and made life miserable for the entire company if you would have sent that email. So, I mean, I would have had that regret in my military career of things like that, And there have been a couple times that I've been told by senior NCOs that I should never go anywhere for the rest of my life without an NCO with me to check my decision making. So I've been lucky enough to be in a career field where you're always around really squared away. NCOs and warrant officers who are like, hey man, like,
don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't say that out loud. Don't send that email.
But the thing is,
but I mean, all in all, it's been an amazing career. Like I have no complaints. I would do nothing different.
But we need officers like that in SF.
Yeah.
Like we need guys that, like, I'm not saying just get angry and blast an email, but every now and then we need guys that write that email. I've done that plenty of times. And like you say, commander, be like, hey Johnny, no, bro. I've written emails where I'll be like, hey, keyboard commando, this is where I'm at.
Right.
Come find me, It's like, nah, dude, don't send that, And
it's a fine line between passion.
Oh, yeah.
For the guys in the job and maybe not sane thinking.
Oh, yeah. But we get so passionate about it.
Yeah.
And you realize, like, especially you as a commander, these guys' lives are in your hands. So if you're planning that mission or you're looking at what resource I got for these guys and you're not getting them, of course I'm getting mad. I mean, like, what do you mean I'm not getting them? What do you mean you're not dropping bombs? Like, you wait till I get back. I'm going to talk to somebody, So
yeah,
I get it. I totally get it. And so for you, now I know Jack and Sam both in the military. So your kids are
So we have three kids. My oldest Ryan is a physical. He does physical fitness and training in Fayetteville. But then the twins.
He's big too. That boy's big.
Yeah, he's big. And then Samantha and Jackson, twins. Never gave any indication that they wanted to go into the Army.
Really?
Growing up, Jackson every once in a while. He kind of,
right.
But Samantha, no, and then it was actually Mike Irwin, who I'm working for now, but was the intel officer back then. He was working at West Point. He goes, hey, I think the Sullivan twins should go to West Point. I was like, I think they should go to West Point too. That's public school. That's free. That's free college.
That's free college.
And he's like, all kidding aside, he goes, get him up here. I want to give him a tour. So we got him up there, and he gave him a hard sell. Like,
that's awesome.
Like, this is not a good place to go to school if you want to party and have a good, you're gonna. It's a different environment.
It's discipline.
But basically, he read Samantha really well. Like, she's type A. If you're gonna challenge her and say she can't do something, she's gonna do it.
Oh, yeah.
So he basically, said, I don't know, if you don't do it, you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life. Basically, is kind of how he left it. And the whole way back to Fayetteville, driving back from West Point, was, I think that guy was like challenging me. Like I couldn't do it. I was like, he definitely was. Don't fall for that. Like, you got to make a decision because you have a 5-year commitment. If you go to West Point, she's like, I'll figure out the Army. I'm going to West Point. And from that moment on, Jackson wasn't as sold, but it was kind of one of those twin things. He's like, well, I can't not go to West Point.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool.
So, yeah, they both went to West Point. She ended up walking onto the rugby team. and did incredibly well.
I was going to say, she did incredibly well.
Yeah, she's now playing for the national team.
That is awesome. Hey, Samantha, shouts out to you. That's awesome. Congrats on that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So how did Sydney feel about the kids joining the military, knowing what you had been through?
Cindy's a unique person. I mean, she's never been one, I think like a majority, especially of the spouses that we have in our community, but never been one to like worry about what's going to happen or what was going on.
Yeah.
Like she always told the kids like, hey, when dad goes away, he's just at work.
Yep.
Like there is nothing for us to worry about.
Exactly.
Like, because if you put energy towards that, you'll spiral.
Yep.
Or and it's just not worth it.
Exactly.
So we just continue to live our lives. We'll have our phone calls. We'll have our things. But when dad calls, he calls, and then when he gets home, he's home. But and she. Again, we've had a blessed kind of like journey through the Army that it provided us a lot of opportunities, whether it was living in Germany. I got stationed in Hawaii for a while.
Nice.
I got to go to the Naval Postgraduate School for school when I was a major. So we've lived in
some good places,
some really good places in terms of the Army. I think except for my first duty station was Fort Lewis. And they say, so I
like Lewis.
Yeah, except for Carson. Like I lived in like all the greatest places. It seemed like she, I think, saw that the Army gave me something in terms of the team environment.
Yep.
The
camaraderie.
The camaraderie. Yeah. You have a kind of set piece to life that you can lean on, right? In terms of whether you want to call it the discipline or just the routine. Right. So I think she was fine with the idea of the twins having that for themselves.
Right.
We joke with Samantha. Samantha's a little bit of a free spirit too. Like, she's the one that always telling to clean the room and stuff. That like, she needed West Point. You know what I mean?
Just a little.
But yeah. But
so how did
now that they're there, we don't worry about it. I mean, it's not. It's kind of the same kind of like deal.
Right.
But it's easier. What with them joining the military?
Yeah.
I think it's great because I think they're both incredible people, and I want those type of people in the military.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
As you become more of a senior guy, and you get behind the curtain,
we don't say old, we say senior.
Yeah. And you start seeing some of the things that are just how decisions are made at a higher level, or different types of leadership. There are times that you're like, man, do I want my children like in this environment? Like, it's frustrating. Or I don't know if these are the right decisions that we're making for these soldiers and these young lieutenants, so but then you look back to I constantly try to reflect back when I was a lieutenant, and I'm like, I didn't worry about what the colonels were doing. It was like, what's my platoon doing today? What did platoon daddy say I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm screwing up?
Exactly.
So, press upon them. Listen to those NCOs, take them with you everywhere you go, and they'll take care of you. Yeah. So I think they're doing well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're doing well.
That's just like you just said, like when you were a lieutenant, you didn't care what the commander said. Same with me.
Yeah.
On a team, the junior Bravos, everybody up to the Fox, and then the team sergeant, whatever, they don't care what, the big leadership's talking about. Like, man, look here, we just want to go to the range, we want to train.
Right.
And that's where, I feel like, like those guys get all their ground, they get grounded, they learn how to be an NCO, how to be a soldier.
Right.
And then by the time in your career, it's just like, I was just talking to a buddy the other day about Robin Sage. We was just talking about this. I go, dude, I can honestly say now, when I went through Robin Sage, I can say this now, I didn't know a damn thing about overthrowing the government. They were like, are you a UW expert? No, I had no clue. All I knew was I was a Bravo and I'm going to teach these guys how to shoot. That's all I knew. And me and him started laughing about it. And I was like, most of the officers, I think you guys got a better overview of like, hey, this is what's going on. This is kind of what we're doing, kind of overthrowing the government. But I had no clue.
Yeah.
Once I got the group and, a few trips to Africa, kind of seeing how, okay, they're fighting UW. Okay, we're teaching this. I'm no damn UW expert, dude. I had no clue. Not a clue. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Went to a team like, I'm a UW expert. I'm a UW expert.
Yeah.
I don't even know UW stands for. I got this. Like, come on, dude. But when you don't know, you don't know. But as you grow and you mature, like you just said, as you become a senior, you start realizing what JSETs are actually for, what UW is actually meant to be done, how it's meant to be done. And it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, you know. And so over time, you learn those things, how to become an SF soldier, how to become,
absolutely,
I'd say a leader. Just like I tell guys this all the time. Just because you're in the military, just because you're a Green Beret, just because you're a SEAL, just because you're a martial guy, doesn't mean you're a leader. we still need those guys that are in positions that are like, hey, dude, you're a shooter.
No,
awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I got a great story about that. When my first day, captain coming to the team. I don't know if I ever told you this.
No.
It's good. So I'm signing in, 1st Battalion, 3rd Special Forces Group, the old buildings, you know, right there. That's one that's at the end of the hallway, right? In uniform, I'm signing in. Guy comes in like, you know, Ranger panties and a t-shirt. He's like, Sullivan, you're the guy coming to my team. Doesn't introduce himself. So I don't know who this guy is. You know, and I'm like, man, I was like, yeah, no, they haven't said what team I'm going to yet. Like, I just got, like, I'm signing in.
He just told you.
he's like, no, you're coming to 3-5. We just got back from his J set. He goes, you should come down, come with me right now. Let's go visit. Let's go meet the guys.
You're like, hell yeah.
Like, okay, cool. This is great, right? So, yeah. So, and I'm like, who is this guy? Is he the team sergeant? And like, he didn't really introduce himself. I think he may have introduced himself by his first name. So we're walking down to the company areas, down because I was in Charlie Company, right? We walk down all the into the hallway, 3-5. Walk in, everybody's in there cleaning stuff. They're all in, you know, PT gear, you know, civilian clothes, and it's kind of like, you know, the record scratch. I walk in, like, who's this? Who's the captain in his uniform? Like, who the hell is this guy?
Who's this guy?
Yeah.
Or why the hell is he in uniform?
Guy, right? And I'm standing like in the middle of the guy walked me in like to the middle of the team room. And it was those old rooms, you know, we had like
upstairs,
the little loft.
downstairs.
We had like just one side of ours was a loft.
Same here.
It was like we had metal cages for like our lockers. And the guy goes, "Hey, this is Captain Mike Sullivan. The whole way over here, he was telling me how he's going to take charge of this team as the new team leader." And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I did not say that, you know?
That's bullshit.
Yeah. Right? And I'm like, what? At which point, Roger Lewis, you know Roger, right?
Oh, yeah, I know Roger.
Big personality,
Oh, yeah.
Roger, Southern boy himself. You know, he's like, oh, really? Is that right, Captain? You gonna be in charge of this team? Oh, we'll see how this is gonna go. New team leader thinks he's in charge. And he says, "Hey, Captain, that's what he said to you?" And I realize he's talking to the other guy.
Right.
So this is the old team leader trying to set me up for failure right from the start. I was like, I didn't say any of that. I'm like, that is a lie. And he's like, oh, you're calling our old team leader a liar?
You're damn right I am.
And I'm like, look, I didn't say any of that. Okay. And luckily there was a folded chair, like a, you know, folding chair against the wall. I was, and at this point, Roger's like, "Hey, this is the captain's desk up here. You gonna come up here and like bark orders and tell us what to do? Is that what you're gonna do? Is it? You want to come up here now?" And I was like, no. I go, I'm not doing that. I took the chair, folded it. I was like, I'm going to come to work every day and sit in this chair. I'm not gonna say anything for about 3 weeks. I go, y'all are Green Berets, right? And they're like, oh, do you not know where you're at? I was like, okay, I got it. It was a rhetorical question. I go, you're all Green Berets, the greatest trainers on the planet. I go, I don't know anything. I just graduated the Q course. I'm going to sit in this chair, and I'm going to expect you guys to tell me what to do and how to do it for the next 3 weeks. I go, and then after those 3 weeks, if I'm like, these guys are a bunch of clowns, then maybe I'll try to take charge. I go, but I doubt that's going to happen, and you guys are going to get me right. And then we'll go from there. I go, but if you don't tell me to do it, I'm not going to do it. I go, so I'm just going to sit down and shut up for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, you handled that well.
And I sat down in the chair, at which point Roger goes, oh my God, the new captain's a genius. I love this guy. They're like, I'm not going to say the old captain's name. They're like, you get your stuff now and get in the hallway so the new captain can move in. Nobody touch his chair. That is the captain's chair now for the next 3 weeks.
I love that.
So that was my introduction to an SFODA.
That's a good introduction.
Yeah, and it worked out pretty well.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I was surrounded by a bunch of really good guys that took care of me.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, I know things have changed a lot, but I remember we would get a new company commander on the team. You know me, I'm that voice. I remember a new company commander or a new team leader would walk in and be like, hey, look here, sir. Before anybody tell you anything, this is a fast-moving training. We're going to slow down long enough to pick you up, and we ain't even slow down to kick you off. We're just going to kick you off. And they would just be looking at him like, who is this guy? And I'd be like, and that's your in brief right there.
Yeah.
I said, you're going to be learning from a fire hose. Just suck up what you can, learn what you can, and enjoy the ride because it's going to go by fast. And it did. You know, most of them be like, man, it's like I just got here. And it's like, hey, it sucks, man.
Yeah, it goes by way too fast.
Way too fast. I think Will was the only commander I've had. Will got like almost 4 years on ODA, which is never heard of.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was like, hey, let's keep him one more year. They're like, all right, we'll keep him one more year. And we was like, this is awesome, you know, because we were in between Afghanistan. So every time we got back, we were getting ready to leave again.
Yeah.
So they just never like, he's like, I was like, hey, just stay on that radar, don't say nothing about it. And we'd be going back to Afghanistan. They were like, hey, when you leave this time, go back, your ass out of here. He's like, damn it.
Yeah, I got about 2 years. They stuck me up with 3 shots.
That's about average. That's about average.
Yeah.
So now that you're transitioning with 29 years, when you finally retire, will you have 30 years?
I'll be 2 months short.
Really?
Yeah.
Can they extend you for those 2 months just to make it 30 years?
I could have like moved it out, but I need.
You're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I
don't need 2 extra months of whatever.
Just to say I got 30 years?
Yeah.
I'm at 29. Yeah. I'm at 29.
It's close enough.
It's close enough.
That I tell people
30 years. That's what I said.
You want to call me on it, my integrity?
Yeah,
okay, I'll be like, all right. Yeah, it's just like when I tell people I'm 6 foot, I'm like 5'11", you know?
And I am. So now that you're transitioning after 29, and thank you for your service. That's awesome. After 29 years, 10 months, what are you going to do now?
So the plan is I'm going to work for Team Red, White, and Blue, which is a veteran nonprofit that started by a friend of ours. Back then it was Captain Mike Irwin. Now he's a lieutenant colonel in the reserves. But,
shout out Mike,
Big Mike Irwin. So he was an intel officer when I was a company commander of that rotation in 1st Battalion. And while he was in graduate school, he got the notion that veterans at this point, he was thinking about transition, like veterans that are transitioning out, all these guys coming out of both Iraq and Afghanistan war years are going to need, a support network, a community to lean on.
Exactly.
Similar to what they had in the military, right? So it has evolved over the years, and they've refocused the mission more towards health and wellness.
Nice.
So again, the mission is enriching veterans' lives, and you can do that by several different ways. But their vision is to forge like the premier community for health and wellness for veterans across the United States. And the way they do that is through a community-based model, where you got like local chapters across all 50 states that are creating primarily like workout events, whether it's running, CrossFit, rucking, bicycling, yoga, whatever it could be, that your community kind of wants to gravitate towards. But you get back together in a team environment with people that had shared experiences, kind of understand the way we talk to each other
and the way we think.
It creates an environment of accountability. So when you're laying in bed and you're like, do I really want to get up and run that 5K today? And it's like, well, there's going to be 3 other RWB members, which we call Eagles, waiting on me. So let's get together and do this thing, because there's nothing better than getting outside, working out together. So it seems like a simple concept, but it takes a lot of energy and a lot of drive to keep people energized to get together.
It's a lot of dedication.
So the organization's going on 13 years. It's going strong. It continues to grow every day. They have an application that veterans can get on. I like to call it a veteran-owned space, so unlike Facebook and Instagram and other places which the organization's on. But when you want to talk about how we're going to get together, what we're going to do, questions about health or fitness, you can do it all on the Team RWB app with other people. It provides a virtual aspect. If you're not close enough to like an actual team of people to get together, you can still get together virtually and go run that race or run that thing. So it's a great group. A lot of people out there will probably call it the biggest veteran running club in the U.S. Everyone sees people usually with the red Eagle T-shirt on. It's a great group of people. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that. It's kind of a cheat code. Everybody says like veterans, have a hard time when they retire and transition, especially after 30 years. I'm staying right in the service-based organization with a bunch of people that are just like me.
So it's easy.
So it's going to be a lot easier, and it's a mission that I'm passionate about. So,
I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, so for all my veterans, retired and active duty guys, check out Team Red, White, and Blue. I know
Absolutely.
I've done a couple races or whatever, and I know Mike's we're doing something in February, right? You said?
Yeah, absolutely. Hilton Head Marathon.
Where's Hilton Head Marathon?
Yeah, that's what I'm running in February.
All right, what day?
You said you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll get you the date.
Yeah, send me info, I'll do it. But what I want to say is, hey, so for all my listeners, my viewers that are watching, subscribers, hey guys, Team Red, White, and Blue. I know Mike Irvin that started. I know Sullivan that's taken over. Hey guys, go in there, donate these different military organizations, because what I've known, and I try to donate to 3 or 4 every year. What I've noticed is that guys that are retiring, Mike just hit it on the head, saying he's rolling into a job where you're still around like-minded people. Well, a lot of us retire and we go to the 4 corners. Like, I don't want to be bothered. I want to go here. I want to do that. And guys don't have purpose. Those are the veterans that I worry about. Those are the law enforcement guys that I worry about. Those are the first responders that I worry about.
Yeah.
That guy's like, man, I've been doing this for, pounding sand for 20, 30 years. Now all of a sudden I'm out and people speak a different language. They don't understand me. You're already labeled, and now you walk into the real world and you're like, oh my God. And those guys, those are the ones I see struggling with the PTSD and struggling with the, just the different things of turning to alcohol, turning to drugs, or turning to whatever, or losing their families, And that's my biggest thing, is because I went into a dark place, and basically, Mike, you helped me out when you told me, like, no, you need to go get some help. Because at the end of the day, we go hard. You want to be there for your buddies.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, that's taken away from you, and it's like, holy shit, I ain't got nothing. Now you don't have an identity. You don't have a purpose. When at the end of the day, like I told somebody, JMFG is just a title. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
But in our line of work, that's who you become. Like, that's Johnny M.F. Glenn, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, Johnny M.F. Glenn, all right, where's he at? And then it's like, I hadn't talked to him. Yeah. So a lot of times I'm driving, I'm like, man, let me call this guy, just check on him. Like, hey, brother, what's up? How you doing? Oh, I'm doing good, man. Glad you called, because I feel like guys go into a dark space after they use the identity of being in charge of, like, you're America's finest, you're America's greatest, you're some of the best athletes on the planet. Now all of a sudden, you have no orders, you have no reason to train, and guys just sit around, drink, gain weight, do nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, man, like, what am I doing with myself? Now your wife has alienated herself, family's kind of turned their way against you, and now the guy's out there on that, he's on a plateau by himself. So Team Red, White, and Blue, all these different organizations, what you guys are doing, I totally love it. Task Force Daggers, another one. You guys that are actually keeping that team concept and giving guys purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where I think it's at.
Yeah, and I think I like to think about it so as an investment, right, in our veterans, because the idea is we're staying ahead of like all of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So like ideally we're getting people right before they, they're energized. I mean, you can join Team Red, White, and Blue if you're active duty, guard, reserve, spouses. We have members that are just like, they just want to be around other military people and hear their stories and support the military.
Yep.
So they sign up and, they're Eagles as well. So it's a very, eclectic group, but primarily focused on the veteran community, right? And the message that Team RWB that resonates with me is in terms of like, hey, our veterans are a resource that drives this nation, right? So obviously different conflicts have a different amount. The Greatest Generation, probably, almost all those guys, and even the women that were back home were all supporting the war effort. So much smaller population with an all-volunteer force, but those veterans are like the lifeblood of where this nation's going to go next.
Oh, yeah.
And investing in their health and welfare, because, I mean, you talk to anybody that hires a veteran, they're like, man, I need like 10 more of these people. Like, they are the hardest workers.
They're going to make it happen.
They understand how to make things happen, minimal guidance, and they can just get it done, So helping that individual to stay that individual, I think is what's it's good for it's good for everybody, right?
Yeah,
so I think that's one of the things that I'm really excited about, becoming a part of the organization. So, but yeah, so I'll start next month. I won't be running the whole thing. Mike's still in charge, but I'll be one of the people, kind of like as their chief of staff, helping to. Very small organization, but it's mostly volunteers, as Mike likes to call it, a movement, not an organization.
Gotcha.
Because it's the lifeblood of the community that keeps it going.
Okay.
But it's a great place to be. Yeah.
Okay. So hey, for Mike, Big Mike Irvin, hey man, I gotta get you on the show. I hear you doing great things. I hear you got a little farm too. I got one, so we got to talk farm talk, and I know you probably think the world's coming to you, and Mike's probably got bunkers with ration stuff in them. But yeah, I haven't said that. But hey guys, what I do want to say is I want to ask Mike one more thing about transitioning. What would you recommend? Like, what I know you're transitioning to a job that's going to actually probably it's easier for you because you're going into something that you've always done. You're going to continue to lead, and that's one thing I will say to all the young service members that are out there right now. When I was in SF, having leaders like Mike made my job a lot easier because they instilled that trust in you to make that right decision. So for guys that are getting out of the military and girls that are getting out of the military that are transitioning right now, you might not be transitioning to a job like he's transitioning to. So what would you recommend to people that are transitioning that can make that transition a little easier?
Man, it's tough. I mean, because again, I got it so easy. So it's hard for me to answer that with like understanding and like in terms of the experience. I think that the key is though, and again, it's hard for me to like answer this for everybody because again, I'm a retiring colonel who's going to have a very nice, retirement paycheck. That I can kind of pick and choose like how much what I want to do. I want to continue to work, and in terms of like, do I need to work is not as probably as prevalent for some of the people that are getting out of the service, whether it's after their first hitch or their 50th, now they're at the 30-year mark. For me, again, I reflected a lot on trying to find something that was going to make me happy, and something that, quite frankly, like no one's going to get rich in the nonprofit space. So, am I willing to I could probably get a job in the defense industry
and make a ton of money
right off the bat. Bring my Rolodex, bring my know-how to talk to people, and I don't know if the money would make me happy, but it was something that I just wasn't going to be passionate about. And there's people that are very passionate about that, and it's not necessarily for the money, but they see like getting the guys the new best kit as something that they're passionate about because they felt that maybe they weren't getting the best thing when they were in. So that's great. Then go do that. Yeah. So again, it's taking the time to reflect on like what is it going to be the thing that's going to make you just as passionate and happy about getting up and going into work as you did when you were going into the team room. Like, totally. and it may not be there initially, but put that mark on the wall so you can work towards that.
Agree.
Because if you're just going, I think for anybody, if you're just going for the paycheck, or you're hitting the easy button. I mean, I could be a DA civilian right back at USASOC headquarters tomorrow. I bet. Not jobs that always open up, but because people love those jobs and they want to do it. And as passionate about taking care of the guys when I was in as a uniformed service member. I was just like, man, I just need to do something different for me, right? The guys that are passionate about that, absolutely take that job. Because we need people like that as DA civilians, but that wasn't for me, right?
I got you.
So it was working through that, I think, is what people need to do. Ideally they'll be able to have the choice like I did. Again, I'm just super blessed to be in the position I am. But I think that'd be the advice.
I like it. And having said that, I'm gonna add one more thing to that. Like what Mike just said, try to find that happiness. Just like podcasts. I had my buddy Ryan Rogers tell me 5 years ago, man, you need to do a podcast. I'm like, I ain't doing a podcast. I don't want to talk to people. And then I was like, and then he's like, no, man, just tell about your stories because I do some interesting stuff. And he was just like, I was like, no, I don't want to talk about myself. Who don't want to do that? But then when I realized helping through sharing, I can share other people's stories that are going to help other people. So what I would say, just to tack on to what Mike just said, get involved in these like Team Red, White, and Blue. Get involved in these organizations where you're going to be around like-minded people. Because if you're around like-minded people, for the most part, if I'm doing something stupid or if I start gaining a lot of weight, Mike's gonna tell him. He's like, hey dude, you need to push away from the table.
I know you're gonna say the same thing.
Because I'm saying, you damn right I am. Like, hey dude, look here. Y'all seen Mike look like he ate a small Asian kid, dude. He needs to cut back. So at the end of the day, for the guys that are standing around guys that are like us, you see them and they're in the gym, they're hitting the gym, they're working out. People ask me all the time, like, why are you still running? Why are you still working out? Like, man, what if the balloon goes up tomorrow, dude? Like, hey, I don't want Mike the only one going. I can't go. Like, nah, dude, I want to. Nah, wait, dude, don't call Johnny. Dude, don't call Johnny. He can't walk to his truck. Like, nah, I don't want that. So at the end of the day, get out, find out about these organizations that are actually doing great things way beyond what you can imagine. Just like I love the fact that y'all are getting wives involved in it. You're getting, civilians involved in it. You're getting people involved in it that can actually say, like you say, hold them accountable. Like this morning, I was going to go hunting. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning. I was like, man, I ain't hunting this morning. But now my daughter or my buddy Chris would have called and said, hey, man, we're hunting at 5. I'm up. Yep. Let's go.
Yeah,
I would have got up.
Yeah.
And regardless, I would have got up. It's almost like peer pressure in a positive way. So for guys that are getting ready to, transition into being a civilian or transition whatever, even if you don't want a job, that's fine. Even if you want to work, that's fine. Get involved in these organizations so you can get around people. Not saying you will hold yourself accountable, but you got people that will hold you accountable.
Right. I mean, I've been, saying it now for the last few months. If you watch my little Instagram.
Oh yeah, you've been getting it up.
But the thing that's dawned on me that got me to the place where I'm at right now, my entire career in the Army or just life, is that I have been surrounded by a team of people that want to see me do well.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. They care about me, and I think that's just that is my driving focus. I mean, really, that if I want to step back and go, that is the advice I'd give anybody that's transitioning out of the military or deciding to do something else in their life. It doesn't matter what it is. Don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Choose a team of people that are going to support you in that cause. They may be people that you don't want to they're keeping me accountable. They're calling me in the morning. I didn't want to have to. I wanted to sleep in today. Mm-hmm. But if you trust that they're doing it for your own good because you chose that as a team member, that's what's going to get you through the next thing.
Yeah.
And again, that's for I'll keep harping it, Team RWB. It's in the name. It's a cheat code. There is a ready-made team that you can find people to have a conversation with.
I like that.
You may not need to. You may be self-motivated to run and work out hard every single day, and the idea that they got all these events that they do every year that get people out. I don't need that.
Yeah.
But maybe you just need to check in with some people and see. I think it's for everybody.
I like that.
But if it's not RWB, find something, right? Because we can't go. We are a communal people. We need teammates to make it through this thing. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest advice. For me, it's the key to my success.
Was it last year we did the JFK 50 or year before last?
Last year.
Hey,
we just missed this year's.
So last year, me and Mike did the JFK 50, right? And I wasn't gonna do it. I was like, man, it's too cold. And I remember you hey, where you at? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I was like, all right, I'll be there.
You said you were gonna be there.
Yeah, but you're having accountable, just like a marathon. I'll be there. But that's what I'm saying, guys. Nobody has to force me to work out. I'll work out on my own. But the fact that he's holding me accountable, I showed up, and then I cramped up, and that's the worst. Yeah, I got a cramp, and it was a good race, though. It was a good race.
Yeah, it was the 5th time I ran that race, and it was probably my favorite.
Oh yeah, that was a good race.
We laughed the entire way for 50 miles.
The whole race we laughed.
Yeah.
Talking about Dave Goggins. So Dave Goggins, you're watching this. Anybody know Dave Goggins? Pass us off to Dave Goggins. Mike kept saying Dave Goggins don't cramp.
Yeah, Dave Goggins don't cramp.
I've never got mad at Mike, but I was so mad at Dave Goggins don't cramp. But having said that, just having you there and forcing me to come there, holding me accountable.
Yeah.
I went. Because if you wouldn't have went that day, I can tell you right now, I'd be I know I can run 50 miles, why am I going to go? But the fact that he's there, I'm like, all right, I got to show up. No, he's like, hey, where you at? 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hey, pulling up there, man. I was like, God, I hate this dude. And it was cold. I don't do nothing cold. I'm tropical. But anyways.
You had 3 pairs of sweats on.
I know. And you remember I was running my hands in my pocket? You go, are you going to run the whole race like that? I go, dude, it's freezing. Then you gave me your hand warmer. I was like, oh my God, it's so cold. It was. I hate cold weather. But having said that, just get somebody, like Mike just said, dude, on this podcast, we like to help through sharing.
Yeah.
And what he just shared, I can't say better. Get a group of people around you, get a team of people around you that are going to be positive minded, and they're going to call you out. I have my buddies call me out all the time, like, hey, dude, when'd you train? I didn't. Well, that's why you're hurting. That's why you're cramping. Start training. Start doing something. So every time I see you on Instagram, I like it. I'm like, I'll read what you wrote. I'm like, man, look at this guy getting it. So I ran today. I had to take the rental car back. I only ran because I ain't anybody come pick me up. But I was like, screw it, man, I'll run back. And it's only 4 miles, but still. And then they were like, we can take you home. I'm like, no, I'm going to run. My buddy's been getting after it. I'm going to get after it too. So, but that's that.
Yeah, it's good.
That's that blind peer pressure.
Yeah.
That's that peer pressure you don't even see, but it's there. And so at the end of the day, hey, great to have you on, brother. Can't wait to get you on, Mike, but great to have you on, brother. And I hope somebody take a lot away from this and just say that, hey, surround yourself with a group of people and move forward. One more thing.
What?
The book you write.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean
I know you.
That's a loose term saying writing. So I'm trying to put it together now. I've got like 10, 15 pages of brainstorming.
I like it.
But again, it's around that same concept, that team concept.
Okay.
And I hesitate to say it out loud that I'm working on a book, because in our community, the Green Beret community, that's not as positively looked upon as maybe other special operations communities. SEALs. Yeah. So, and it's not because the difference between Green Berets and SEALs, but the idea is to look at my own life.
Right.
And again, from the time I was a kid, I was playing team sports.
Yep.
I grew up in a family where my dad was my basketball coach.
Yep.
And there's life lessons there that I think about all the time.
Oh yeah.
All the way through playing. I played, Division III college sports, but I played sports in college all the way through college, and then getting into team environments in the military. But I think everybody has teams around them, whether it's their family. The family's the team that you don't get to choose. You're kind of born into it.
Yep.
Some teams are better than others, and I understand that I was blessed by the team that I got born into.
Same here, right?
But throughout the rest of your life, for the most part, you get to choose that you want to be on a team. You maybe not get to choose the players on that team. The day I got walked into the team room, I didn't know who was on my team, but I had chose a profession that was going to put me on a team in that environment.
Exactly.
So the idea is, there'll be different. It's a collective edge is maybe the title I'm working on.
Yep.
And then talking about the battlefield of life and the teams that you choose, but getting some great advice from great people. It's probably not just going to be about me. I might be interviewing other folks.
I like it.
Whether they're from sports, whether it's about families, whether it's about anything, thread my story throughout there. But the book itself will be a team effort. Is the idea.
I like it.
So we'll see where it goes.
I like it, brother.
If anything, maybe it'll just be cathartic for me to put down in writing. I'll guilt you into reading it, and then other than that, we'll be good to go.
Put a couple pages and pictures. Oh man, this is a good book.
Yeah. So,
I like it.
But I think
it's a good concept.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to go, because I think the idea that as an individual you can just decide for yourself that you can make your life great. I don't even think those people did it on their own. There was someone around them on their team, whether they were recognizing it or not.
Always.
So I just think that we need to give more energy to that as people as we go forward.
I like it. I like it.
Even the goats had teams around them. So.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
So we'll see where it goes. I'll keep you posted.
I like it, brother. Well, hey, JMFG, we out of here. I hope you guys got some of it. Stay tuned for next week. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Thanks. That was awesome, brother. God, that was good. Hell yeah. Man, I missed the hell out of you. God, I miss you, bro. That was good stuff.